I've been working on this illustration for a while now, for about a month, because it is a semi commissioned illustration. And it is going to go to the Children's Book Fair in Bologna, Italy, which is going to be on from April 13th to April 16th. So only 3 days actually this year. I did go every year. Last year I went there. It is a major event. There is thousands of illustrators, and they are showcasing their work. And there's also a lot of workshops, so it's worth attending. And I'm, of course, what a better way to showcase my artwork in at the Children's Book Fair than painting a piece of Florence, my style. And so I'm painting the Ponte Vecchio, which is going to be a book about the life on the bridge in the Renaissance and medieval time. I still haven't picked the historic timeline, but I'm definitely going to do it either way about Renaissance. It's going to be about Renaissance and medieval time, and it's going to showcase how people lived, how people worked, how people solved their problems, how everything worked in Florence in the Renaissance time. And I'm painting the bridge. I took a little bit of a creative license here because the bridge is going to feature a lot of things that are actually not there. They have never been there, but most of it is historically accurate. Like, for example, people fishing from the bridge, or there is a butcher shop opened on the bridge, but it's on the wrong side. The butcher is it's facing us, so it's facing the bridge. It's actually facing the other way. But this is actually historically accurate. The Ponte Vecchio in Florence was part of a butcher market. So butchers and people that were selling fish, they were on the bridge. Today there is a lot of jewelry stores, but back then it was a place where people would go to buy meat, to buy poultry, to buy fish. And so the Ponte Vecchio in this case, I'm trying to do an illustration that's going to be appealing to children. And it is extremely difficult because unless you are a children's book illustrator, this task is not for everybody. The colors have to be bright. The story has to flow very simply. They can't be like big plots or twists. And I personally prefer to illustrate stories by just telling people what is there. I don't want to make up anything. I don't want to we're going to do like a historic reenactment, but it's going to be with images. So this image that I'm sending to the Children's Book Fair in Bologna, this is going to be my cover page for a book that I'm going to be finishing next month. And it's going to have 12 illustrations, and they're going to be about the different arts, the trades of Florence during the Renaissance time, because during the Renaissance, you had to have a trade in order to survive. You had to do something. You had to be good at whatever. You could be somebody that was able to deal with the wool and cloths, and so you would be not necessarily making clothing for people or using wool to make clothes, but also selling it. And the process of making wool is extremely complicated. So there were people that would gather the wool. There were people that would only dye the wool different colors. This was a whole trade back then. And we're talking about a time where there was no machinery. So everything was done by hand. There was giant tubs with the wool, and you had to pour extremely toxic chemicals in it. And so this was one trade. And then there were carpenters, of course. And then there were butchers, which were called beccai, and many other trades and arts. So an art was considered something that somebody was good at, but it was extremely difficult to master. So, in other words, in order to be a butcher, you probably needed like a year apprenticeship or a blacksmith. A blacksmith was an art because it was extremely difficult to master. So it would take 10 years just to be able to make, pretty much everything that a blacksmith was expected to make. Tools, for example. And so let's go back to our illustration. So this is for children, of course. So I included like little fishies down there, and I included some funny things like birds flying up there, a cat that's chasing birds. These are all characters that I'm trying to work on. I don't know if I'm succeeding very well, but we'll see, because this one is just the cover. And then there's going to be more pages. And in each page, I'm going to illustrate an aspect of the life during the Renaissance. I keep saying medieval, but they kind of blend in together, Renaissance and medieval. And I'm trying to make it so it's informative for children. It's going to be probably for like children 6 to 12, something like that. They already understand what a trade is, and they understand that people work, and they understand that what is a historic period of time. So, and this is very important because the Bologna Children's Book Fair um, has different ages. So there is publishers there, and they only publish for certain ages, and they have segmented the market so that you, as an illustrator, you will fit better in a certain market. So I fit better in a market that's for older children because I put in my illustrations a lot of technical things. And so those are extremely loved by kids that are a little bit older, and they want to see how things are made and how they work, of course. These are all aspects. And then, people, kids are curious. So they just want to open the book and they want to see what's in there. So it's very difficult, but you can definitely master this art. And of course, I'm in Florence and I love historical narration and I love the history of Florence. And therefore, I'm going to go with that particular theme. And I'm going to publish this on the main Bologna Children's Book Fair website, which is bolognachildrensbookfair.com. And they have an illustrator's wall, and you can publish your works for other people to see. And I think it's going to go very well because it hits that age range pretty well. I'm going to be putting a link in the description as soon as I'm published. It should be April 1st, and then my illustration is going to stay there until August. So you're welcome to see it, and then I'm going to take a screenshot of the page and I'm going to publish it on my website and on here on YouTube on my next video, because this one that I'm working on, it's the cover of the book, but I actually intend to finish it, and I intend to do 12 plates that are going to be about the different arts and trades in Florence. So one of the trades I'm really looking forward to do is, of course, the butchers, because the things I'm going to add there is a lot of pesky little cats that are trying to steal stuff from the butcher. There's going to be a page about another art, which is the doctors and the spice man. Like pharmacies were called spice man because they were dispensing spices, I guess. And then there was another art. There's going to be another page about people that deal with raw hide. So a lot of things were made of hides, not like today, but back then it was a big deal. And then, of course, the Arte della Lana, which is the wool guild. And you were extremely talented if you knew how to process wool, just raw wool from the sheep, and then make clothes out of it. That was a very big deal because, well, everybody needs clothes. And there were specialties, like people that would dye the clothes in different colors, because having a different, you know, brilliant colors in your clothing was a big deal back then. It wasn't easy. And it was even a bigger deal for nobility, people that had influence and power. They had to have really good clothing. Otherwise, they would be ridiculed. You know, you had to have really nice and bright colors. And my absolute favorite ones are going to be the pages where I'm going to be painting the merchants, or how they were called back then, the Kalimala. And we're going to paint the markets, all the life around the markets and the trades in and out of Florence. That's going to be really fun. So, one thing about this bridge, I want to show you here. You probably noticed this. I'm not using watercolor here for these white stones, but I'm actually using oil colors because oil covers a lot better. So I'm using oil to just like make it come out of the page. And you probably noticed this, but I used oil underneath the bridge. So this is a hybrid technique. I used oil underneath the bridge, which is the green stuff, the green water. That one is oil because it really shines through. However, I don't know if my technique it's okay because um, I use watercolor most of the time. So I'm not an oil painter, but I think it actually came out pretty nice. But those bricks that I painted white, I used oil and I think I used acrylic. I'm not sure, but definitely oil. And it's white, zinc white, it's called. And that one covers a lot and it shines. It's like, I don't know, it's the zinc in it that makes it shine. So when you look at the page, I don't know if it comes through here, but if you look at the page, that white really comes through. I'm really liking this mixed technique with the oil and watercolor. And feel free to go into my Etsy store, and there is this illustration you can buy as a print and many others. And here's the final Ponte Vecchio bridge for my book. And I really like the process. And underneath, there's of course a no fishing sign. And I painted the entire bridge underneath as a little surprise. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Link below in the description for the Bologna Children's Book Fair illustrators wall with my illustration.